Hey man, how's it going? Thank you so much for this Zoom call. It's actually been something I've been looking forward to for a very long time, especially with this whole situation now that we're in, the whole COVID-19 situation. A lot of people's businesses have gone down or like dropped off significantly. But I just wanted to check in to see how you're doing. And first, before everything, I want to kind of introduce you to the people listening. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
A little bit about myself. My name is Joel. I'm the founder and owner of Big Talk Barber, and I've kind of been in business for about 6 years and officially had the business on paper for a couple of them. It's my I've kind of dabbled in few different areas of work, being a personal stylist, running a media company where I was editorial director. So we used to do photo shoot editorials, ran a couple of fashion shows, played soccer in America for a while, so I love my sports. It's a pastime of mine. Love creative stuff. Love drawing. Just started to learn a bit of video editing now as well. I'm really enjoying that. Content creation, and what I really love delivering to people is self-expression, confidence, and peace of mind. And that through my interactions that they really get an experience of that.
That's great, man. And what's your business name called?
Big Talk Barber.
And at the moment, whereabouts are you based?
So at the moment I'm based in the city, West Perth, just across the road from Watertown. A little bit hard to find. There's a heritage building called Brush, Fork and Pencil. Through the alleyway, you'll find me.
Perfect, man. So before this whole situation happened, how busy were you in terms of cutting people's hair?
So as a sole trader and sole barber, it's just me working in the shop, and I was reliable for about between 25 cuts a week on a average week. On a good week, probably about 35. So there's about a 10 different gaps between busy and not busy. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go into finances too much, but it was enough to kind of sustain myself, put money back into the business, etc.
And how has that changed since this whole situation has come about?
How it's changed, I think just customers' behavior has changed. Not so much the want for the product, because people are still asking if I'm open. There's still the inquiry and curiosity about it. What's really changed is the hesitancy in people purchasing the product. I think as far as like human behavior goes, when you're selling something to someone or you're providing a service, is the conditions outside your business. So how accessible it is, how readily available it is, how easy it is to consume. And I think those factors kind of get impacted by external things such as the virus. People aren't able to travel, they're not able to travel in big groups. So sometimes, people will be getting a haircut to go out to an event. And now that they don't have big gatherings, I've got maybe 3 people who would normally come in at the same time aren't coming. Or people have work meetings. The meetings are all via Zoom, and they may only get them once every 3-4 weeks because they have like a monthly meeting rather than every 2 for maintenance because they're showing up for work every day. So that's kind of been the main difference. Sale per person hasn't really changed. People need what they need, and I have my regulars, but other than that, that's probably the biggest impact that it's had.
It's great to hear people are still needing haircuts, especially in this sort of time when lockdown laws are starting to get stricter and stricter. I know, I think it was last week that they introduced the whole 30-minute haircut service, but now I believe that's been scrapped. Yeah, so it's great to see that you're still able to provide that great service. In regards to your whole service as a now that the whole situation is becoming more and more stricter, do you foresee them shutting down your business in the future? If so, then how would you counteract that? How would you pivot?
Awesome question. I like that. Um, if they did shut down my business, one thing that I've always tried to create with my business is the conversation that's around it. What are people talking about when they're not in the shop with regards to my business? And having like my communication being self-expression, confidence, peace of mind, it's important to me that people are still getting that experience with or without the haircut. And I think having something for that to be attached to makes a difference. Whether it's like your social media, your website, how you're interacting with your clients, are you calling them regardless of whether they're coming into the shop or not, and keeping that communication alive. Because that's what's going to keep that community who supports your business present. I think it's really easy for people to confuse that, it's the business that people are selling rather than the community that people are buying into, if that makes sense. So yeah, keep the community alive. Yeah.
And what sort of strategies or techniques are you doing to keep that community alive?
I invested a lot into my website recently, so that'll be coming up at the end of the month. And just learning so many more skills as far as communication. I know social media is one that is so easily accessible for people, and I think capitalizing and getting creative with different ways you can manipulate that, I guess. I know you were helping with me with a whole bunch of stuff with regards to that. Doing tutorials, kind of, I guess, giving away the secrets. Business owners get so hung up on, their trades to success or whatever, and it's kind of like keeping people on the hook for something rather than involving them fully in what you're creating. I think if you can provide that and not be afraid to kind of let that go, that's going to have people really, come and purchase your product because they know they're getting the full value, not a version or like a little bit of it. So when, social media, going back to the question, I guess, is social media is massive, and I've just been kind of pumping that, investing a lot of time and money into that. Website, I call my clients as well, just see how they're going. A lot of them hit me up on Instagram, and I'll just speak with them and chill for like half an hour or so, and I guess provide the one-on-one service without me actually even being there. The conversation, I guess, yeah.
It's great to hear, man. You're still being connected with your clients. I believe that's a very important thing to be doing right now, especially in the sort of situation where we can't physically be one-on-one with our clients sometimes, and it has to be like over calls like this, over Zoom. So it's great that you're taking the opportunity to kind of stay connected. I think that's a very important thing.
Yeah.
So that leads me on to my next question. Throughout this whole situation, as you know, it's forced a lot of people to stay at home, and it's changed different dynamics in the way people do business, especially for yourself being a one-man band, one-man operator. What has this whole situation taught you?
It's taught me to be, I guess, I can say it as a concept, right? Because then people can kind of take this to their own. But it's not about the resources that you have, but how resourceful you are with them. I think people are going to realize that they don't need as much as they have to produce the same results. In fact, they could probably use a lot less and produce greater results than they already have. Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest takeaways. Second is to take an opportunity while you are quiet to learn as much as possible. Fill in all the grey areas in your business where you think you might be weak, because when we are trading, especially the people who are in one-man band businesses, we get lost in the hustle and the man-to-man service side of it, and we kind of forget or lose sight of the reality of everything else. And losing sight of that has something occur as really hard, or I don't have time for it, or I'm too busy. And now it's an opportunity to actually have a look at it. And what I've been discovering is that it's a lot easier than I thought. And I probably would be able to do this, or I will be able to do this even when things go back to normal.
That's good, man. That's good you've learned so much about yourself, and throughout this whole situation has actually allowed you to upskill yourself in areas that you found considered weaknesses. So it's great, man.
Yeah.
So as a barber, as a successful barber in Perth at the moment, what tips could you give to other barbers in this situation, whether it be in Perth, Australia-wide, or even internationally?
Number one, educate yourself. Whether it's through videos or asking other barbers questions. For any barbers watching this, you're more than welcome to get in touch with me. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have as well. But yeah, educate yourself, get known amongst the community. I know when I was a lot younger in the business, so to speak, I never really took advantage of knowing the community. Kind of did my own thing, and you wouldn't think it has an impact later on, but it does when you want to expand, or you want to touch base and get a feel for what is out there. So yeah, have that taken care of. Create your community. Rephrase the question for me again.
So what sort of tips can you give to other barbers in this situation that we're facing right now?
Okay. Yeah, just didn't want to miss anything out for the question. But don't be afraid to spend your money. A lot of people can try to hang on to their money in times like these, and while everything's kind of on the low, or people aren't really spending their money, this is an opportunity for you to really invest in yourself and not have too much of a cost. Because later on, you're not going to get these subsidies, and rents will go back up, and people will have to start spending their money. But now is an opportunity for you to actually really spend money on yourself, project yourself out there in the world, and have yourself be competitive, so when everything does go back to normal, you're something or someone that people will want to spend that money on.
So just to summarize, basically invest in yourself.
Yeah, invest in yourself.
Perfect, man. Now that everything is starting to shift and the way human behavior is changing, the whole social distancing and that sort of thing, do you see your services changing now moving forward compared to what they were before this whole situation?
I think so, yeah. First thing is like hygiene and all that kind of stuff. People were going to have a listening for that and kind of be on the lookout, whether it's subconsciously or consciously, for every germ on the planet. So, one of my things I said before is peace of mind. So it's something that I'm going to have to elevate in my game. It's paying attention to every detail. Not that I wasn't already, but I'm going to have to take it to another level. Because peace of mind impacts, your confidence and self-expression as well. If you have any sort of self-doubt, it's going to have an impact on the way you are. Also, products is something that's very understated when it comes to a service industry. I know in barbering, I've had apprentices or people who have been part of my team when I was working. I used to work at Culture Kings, I used to be head barber there. And a conversation that used to be around was like, I feel bad selling products and stuff like that. But it's not really up to you whether somebody wants something or not. It's completely up to them. It's our jobs to educate them on whether or not they need it. So when it comes to times like these and you don't have an opportunity to offer a service, a product is a great way to not only keep your conversation alive, but keep your clients educated and as grounded as they can, stimulated even, with what they can do at home and how you can still have your business grow.
Amazing, man. That's some really good tips, especially for people now that are still struggling in this situation and are struggling to kind of adjust and pivot. But I know there's definitely hope for everyone out there. They just have to kind of take this whole situation and understand what they can do to provide value for their customers or clients. So yeah, it's great to see that you're adjusting with the times and you're keeping up with everything, you're even like improving through these challenging times, because I know for a fact that challenging times breeds excellence in people. They actually step up to the plate. Whereas before, for me personally, I found my situation to be quite cruisy in a sense. I didn't have to really like test myself too much or anything like that. But this whole situation for me is a massive wake up call for myself personally that I've needed. It's crazy. It's taken a pandemic to be like, okay, flick the switch. Now let's just go all in with this sort of thing, you know. But it's cool to share this sort of journey with you, especially as you are my barber, and we have really good chats. So it's great, man. Aside from business, in regards to your life right now, how is this affecting your life?
People are a huge part of my life. I love going out, catching up with friends, and I think physical interaction, that is something that is so taken for granted. Man, giving my mum a hug. You know what I mean? I get that we can kind of overlook like small things like that, but if I go to work one day, then I want to make sure at home that I'm like, clean and like, what's it called? Quarantined, I guess, as possible, because I know for myself that given how easily contagious this is, if I pass it on to someone that I love, I think that has a massive impact on human connection. And even without a virus, what's funny is that things like self-confidence and people's perception of themselves are similar to that of like a virus. You know, they have that get in the way of their human connection. So it's almost like a physicality of that, which is not something that I'm kind of hindered by. It's definitely something I've had to develop. It's not always been like that, but it's not something that I'm hindered by. And now I've got the experience that that's kind of there, you know? It's probably one of the biggest impact is physical connection with family, friends, just people in general. I think that's pretty much it. I mean, we can have like one-on-one gatherings. This is great. You really get to know people through this. I mean, group gatherings is probably the only negative for me there. And having a full barbershop, I miss that. There's a different dynamic when there's just a group full of people, and it's not just me and the client speaking about what we're up to in our lives and what's important to us, but there's a whole group of guys like sharing and collaborating ideas and speaking about what matters to them. Completely different dynamic. I think how else it's kind of changed my life is I do get to spend a lot more time by myself, so there's definitely aspects of my life that I get to develop myself in, such as communication, getting connected with people. I had a Zoom call Saturday night. Rather than all of us going out, I had 11 people on a call with my friends from all over Australia, and even some of my friends from Germany and America wanted to jump on as well because they could. But the time difference is kind of a bit of a hassle. They didn't want to, we had a couple of drinks. They didn't want to be having a couple of drinks at 9 a.m. in the morning.
No, awesome, man. That's great. Great to hear, especially now that it's a natural progression that humans will always evolve and change throughout the years, throughout situations and circumstances. So it's great to see that you're still in that positive mind frame. You're very optimistic and you're always looking for opportunities in sort of situations. Whereas I know a lot of people can get very stuck in their ways of, oh, this is how it was and now everything's changed and like now it's getting worse. Like now everything's going to be like worse off compared to how it used to be, blah, blah. But I feel like it's just natural evolution as humans just to keep up with the times. And if you don't keep up, then you fall behind and, that's when everything, like that negativity starts to kick into your mindset and that's when you're in trouble, in big trouble. So it's great to see socially you're still connected. It's a really good idea to have those sort of, group calls and stay in touch, like, that almost face-to-face through the screen sort of thing, which is good. Okay, so as you can see, human behavior is changing and everyone's jumping on these group calls through Zoom or through House Party or things of this sort of nature. How do you see people interacting, moving on from this sort of situation in regards to groups and things like that?
I think people will get weary at first. I mean, like when this all kind of went down, getting used to the segregation was something that we just had to get used to. Because, I mean, you think about it. I mean, my granddad was born in the 20s, 93. So he would kind of, this is just like going back in time for him. You know, mum and dad are worried about him being alone, and he's like, no, I'm sweet, like I'm fine, like, you know. He went to a boarding school, so I think as human beings it takes something to get used to a foreign concept or something that we're not used to. You know, just like I used to love mud cake when I was a kid, and now it's way too sweet for me. You know, so I think it'll take a little bit of getting used to coming back to groups. People will be hesitant. We might not even realize it, but we're probably going to be standing 1.5 meters away from each other in a group.
So true, hey. I definitely feel the same as well. It's going to take some time to adjust socially. I think going from being very close to people in the sense of like standing in groups and stuff, now there's going to be that physical element of like 1.5 meters away, or even further sometimes, depending on the person. No, it was really good conversation, man. You definitely gave a lot of value in the sense of like what you do, how you've adjusted with the times, how your personal life and business life has been affected, and the opportunities moving forward. So I really appreciate you sharing and taking this time to be on this call with me.
No worries, man. Thank you so much for having me. Great that you're doing this. Love it. Glad to be a part of it.
Now, one more thing. Where can these viewers find you on social media?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Big Talk Barber or Big Talk _ Barber. Facebook, just Facebook search Big Talk Barber, and also website www.bigtalkbarber.com.au.
Perfect, man. And if there's one question that you could ask the viewers now, only one question, what question would that be?
One question. Put me on the spot here a bit.
Take your time.
I don't know, I'm really curious as to what everybody else is kind of... what have you been up to, I guess? Like, I'm curious as to what people have been like getting up to in a space of adversity, you know? Guess what are you present to in uncertainty?
Perfect, man. So if you guys are watching this, make sure you answer that question in the comments below. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask Joel about barbering, about business, about life, whatever, including myself. If you have any questions in regards to filmmaking, how I'm handling myself personally, in business as well, anything, just feel free to just reach out to us. We're always here to help out. Awesome. Thanks so much for watching, guys.